Another interesting team are the Indiana Pacers.
Oof.
They won 34 games last year. They hired a new coach, Nate Bjork. I think that's how you say it. I might be pronouncing it wrong. I think I am. So they fired him after 1 year because the players didn't vibe with him. Rick Carlisle is now their coach. And the last time Rick Carlisle was the Pacers coach in his first year, they won 60 games. They had a lot of success with Rick Carlisle. And I think the biggest question mark is how healthy will they be? You know, Brogdon was hurt. Sabonis and Brogdon missed 10-plus games. Miles Turner missed over 20. LeVert, we know he's always going to play half a season and no more than that. And Warren missed the entire season. So are the Pacers going to stay healthy? And will the addition of Chris Duarte and Isaiah Jackson and Torrey Craig be enough to maybe make up for the lack of their starters getting hurt constantly? I think that they're an interesting team. To me, they're a 6th seed if everybody stays healthy. I think 10 seed, I think they're still a playing team. This, to me, is a playing team. But, man, the Pacers, there's a lot of question marks. And I heard that there's a Ben Simmons rumor going around that if they were to trade for Ben Simmons, Karis LeVert would be involved in the deal.
This is all, like you said, this is an interesting team. This is a team just full of really good players. You know, the team
No
full
real star. If you want to count Sabonis in that.
I'm not too high on Sabonis as everybody is.
Sabonis is borderline that.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Sabonis as everybody is. I don't think he's a franchise player. I don't think he can be the best player on your team and you can see consistent success. You know, I think he lacks on that defensive end. He's not a guy you can give it to. You can go get a bucket at all times. It's weird. Malcolm Brogdon, I think he's a really good player, but I don't think he's that guy. You know, same with Karis LeVert, same with T.J. Warren. This team is very interesting because this is a team, like I said, full of good players. You know, Jeremy Lamb, he's back. Torrey Craig, that's a good piece. I think Chris Duarte was a good pickup, a 3-and-D guy who can come in, who can instantly impact the game as a rookie. But T.J. McConnell was still there. You know, he was solid for them as the backup role. But I think this team ceiling is a plan. You know, this is just a team full of good players. They don't have any game changers. You know, this team, they did get a game-changing coach, I feel like. I think Rick Carlisle is going to change the culture there. I think he can definitely benefit them. But this is a team with a lot of just good players and even not just good players, injury-prone players. Karis LeVert, Brogdon missed some time. T.J. Warren, we still don't know when he's going to be back. He's missed some time. Miles Turner, he's had nagging injuries throughout his career, and even then, he's been on the trade block for the past 2-3 seasons. So this is a team that has a lot of question marks, and it's going in a weird direction. Not even a weird direction. It's going in the direction of just consistent mediocrity. You know,
it's just Indiana has been a team that has refused to rebuild. You know, they're
trying to compete, and they're
still trying to compete. And this goes back to having Paul George. You had a window with Paul George that ended abruptly. You get Oladipo and Sabonis back. Oladipo turns into an all-star. Sabonis improves. Now you're in this stage where, okay, we have 5 players that are very good in our starting lineup. We have an okay bench, but we know we're probably not going to be a contender. We know we might not get out of the first round. They're basically what the Atlanta Hawks were in the 2010s, late 2000s, where they're stuck in mediocrity. Do they go all in on the tank, or do they just remain competitive?
That's the question they have to answer. But, you know, my ceiling for them is a play-in. I think this is another play-in team for them. I can see a lottery as their floor. You know, I think the lottery is the best bet for them. Start rebuilding. Start looking at these guys in the draft and start building something because you're not going to get anything free agency. You're just not a good destination. Even, like you said, Paul George, he stated in the All the Smoke interview that he had an opportunity to get a star big man, like a legit star big man to come play with him. And Indiana said they couldn't do it. They didn't bother to make the deal. And there was just a lot of that. So it's like, you know, trust the rebuild process. You're one of those teams where if you trust the rebuild, maybe, you know, like Toronto did or like a Charlotte is doing, you're one of those teams that need to trust the rebuild because you're not a free agent destination. And I think they're just stuck in stubbornness at the moment.
I'm pretty high on the Pacers, actually. I like the Pacers rosters, particularly their starting 5. Brogdon, LeVert, Bubba Warren, Sabonis, Miles Turner.
What did you call him?
Bubba Warren. That's really where he blossomed, truthfully. Nah, he had some good moments on the Suns also, but obviously he became, for real. That being said, these are scorers that could score in dynamic ways, and you pair this up with a new head coach in Rick Carlisle, who is known to run different types of offensive schemes, and he's bringing in a new
philosophy.
Thank you. A new philosophy that the Pacers really haven't had offensively, that he's only kept basically secret with the Mavericks almost his entire career. I do believe that this offense is going to be one of the better offenses as long as they can stay healthy. For me personally, if they're all healthy whole season, their ceiling for me is around that 5-6 seed. I do believe in the Pacers for sure. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon is a solid point guard. He is a good bucket getter. Karis LeVert, we saw last season what he can do when he has the ball in his hands.
Well, if he's healthy, no doubt.
Yeah, no, he is nice. Bubble Warren, another guy. When he's healthy, he is a solid ball scorer. Sabonis, one of the more complete all-around players. His defense does lack, but then you have Miles Turner who makes up for that, one of the better shot blockers in the league. But you mentioned it. For some reason, they have him on the trade block. I guess it's because they realize his contract's coming up soon and they don't want to pay him. But I think with this five, Miles Turner and Sabonis allow there to be a great amount of spacing on the court. Both of them are decent shooters. Miles Turner can shoot the three. Sabonis can shoot the mid-range, kind of extend out a little bit. But then you have Warren, LeVert, and Brogdon, who all can shoot the ball, can obviously take the ball to the rack. This is going to be an offense that, again, like we were talking about before, they run this horn formation where you have Miles Turner and you have Sabonis. Ironically enough, Sabonis can facilitate the offense as well. You have Sabonis who can facilitate, Brogdon who can facilitate. Karras is probably going to have the ball in his hands a bunch. It's just a bunch of different looks that the Pacers could throw at defenses, and it's going to mess a lot of teams up as long as they can stay healthy. That 5 to 6 range is not out of the realm of possibility. However, they get hurt, and that's true. And you look at their floor, I'm thinking they're a play-in team regardless, even still. I don't think that they'll drop 11 to 12 unless the 3 out of the 5 starters go out, or even 2 out of the 5 starters. It's possible that they drop off a little bit. But that being said, I am confident in these Pacers. I do believe that with Rick Carlisle, this offense is going to be really good.
I actually think Miles Turner might have a breakout year. Rick Carlisle gushed about him when he was with the Mavericks. He called him the future of the 5 position, and I think that's a fair assessment. I think you look at Turner, a guy who can defend at a high level, but also shoot the 3 ball efficiently.
Very.
He is the future of the 5 position, but he's just not a dominant 5. Rick Carlisle has also said that he's going to stagger Sabonis and Turner's minutes. So that's great. I think that's good news because you give Turner a chance to really play more freely than if he was with Sabonis, because I think Sabonis does limit Turner's game, because right now in the NBA, it's just so hard to have 2 big men in your starting lineup without one of them not feeling left out of the offense. Turner, I think the reason why he hasn't been traded is because all these trades for Miles Turner are bad trades.
Sure.
He's an undervalued player. He's an undervalued asset. He's a guy who, when he's on the court, he takes Indiana's defense from one of the worst to one of the better ones. He's a huge piece, and I don't think Indiana wants to trade him for a guy like Buddy Hield or whatever else the team wants to offer. I think they understand his value, so they have kept him throughout all these years. The X factor for me this season, though, is Karis LeVert's health. If Karis LeVert can stay healthy for the full year, he can be a borderline all-star. And depending on where Indiana is in the seeding, can be an all-star. He's that good of a player. He does turn over the ball a lot. He's very careless with the ball, but he's an excellent player and an excellent scorer. But he's never had the burden of putting a franchise on his back. But I think Indiana is a perfect place not to do that. Expectations aren't high. You have multiple good players around you. This team is talented, but what's their ceiling realistically? I don't think anybody's taking the Indiana Pacers seriously. So if you're a Pacers fan, you can enjoy watching great basketball at the expense of what you could be in the future, or you could just go all in on the tank now. And who knows, maybe Carlisle staggering Turner and Sabonis' minutes is a way for him to say, okay, which one do I really want to trade? Because that's been an ongoing argument. Which one do I really want to trade? Turner, who can be an anchor for me defensively, or Sabonis, who maybe I can trade for a guy who is not as good as him, but fits my team better. And now we have a kind of different dynamic to our offense and overall team.
It's tough, because Karis LeVert his history has shown us that he plays well
So let me just ask you,
Just
if
cut
they
me
get
off.
if they get because this leads right into Karis LeVert.
Mhm.
He would be in the deal if it was for Ben Simmons.
Okay.
What does Ben Simmons, Sabonis, Turner, Brogdon,
That's
Warren
so many
sound
Yeah,
like
it's
to you?
bad.
I
I'm
like
not a
it.
huge fan of it because Keith mentioned it too. It's like, obviously Ben's a solid facilitator, but you don't necessarily want the ball in his hands too much because of his lack of offensive production. In terms of obviously scoring the basketball, you add Miles Turner, who obviously can stretch the floor, so maybe that provides some kind of spacing for Ben to go down low. Sabonis, he's not an excellent three-point shooter. Obviously can shoot the three ball, but he kind of extends like just beyond the free throw line. That spacing would be not ideal for what it could be right now.
That means Ben is fully reverting to the 3 spot. If he's going to Indiana, he will be a 3.
Yeah, but that's what Keith said. But do I believe in that theory?
I personally don't.
I don't, because it's not about the position thing. It's about, well, it is about the position thing. Rich Paul has came out and said Ben Simmons wants a team built around him. Ben Simmons wants to play like Giannis. Giannis plays that point guard role a lot.
Sure.
Very early when he won his MVPs, he was the primary guy. But then we noticed in the playoffs it doesn't really work.
And he transitioned.
So he transitioned. But Ben Simmons ultimately wants to play that 5-out style and attack and play that way. I think that Indiana team kind of suits him. And I don't know, maybe if they do trade LeVert, maybe Sabonis goes as well, and you get a player who fits around Ben, who's a 3-and-D guy or can space the floor very well. Now you have Brogdon, Warren, Ben Simmons, Turner, and a good 3-and-D player. It can work. There's a lot of possibilities. But Ben Simmons does lift their ceiling, I think.
I just think that if you trade Sabonis, you trade Karis LeVert, this is not as intriguing to me as it is right now. Right now, they have a lot of great spacing, which is why I'm so intrigued by Rick Carlisle coming in and instilling these new philosophies to the squad, because they could do so many dynamic things, because not only is Sabonis a solid facilitator, he could play that pick and pop, pick and roll type play, as can Miles Turner. Karis LeVert can run the point guard type play as well. You have Brogdon, obviously, as that hybrid 1-2 guard as well. Warren is a solid... He's
a slasher.
He is a slasher, but he has a good shot as well. I mean,
it's manageable.
For sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had 8 threes in
he shoots like 35% for his career,
which isn't bad by any means.
I mean, it's manageable.
No, yeah,
it's average
for sure.
It's
Yeah,
average.
which I'm more than fine with. And with a starting 5 like this, it could be a problem for real.
Problem?
As in, obviously, offensively it'll be a problem, but defensively, that's where I have my concerns. Other than Miles Turner.